Hello viewers and students, CSE 2020-25 General Studies Paper 1 and Paper 2, everything is completed and it is time to review and relearn and do not repeat the mistakes. That is the concept once the exam is over. So what we can learn after the examination and what are the right answers for the questions asked in the CSE Prelims this year. So in this session we are going to discuss questions related to polity. So polity, they have asked approximately 15 questions and their most conceptual based questions, very few of them are related to facts. So one who has good understanding about the concepts can easily score these marks. But stating that the options are in such a way that they are very difficult to identify the right point in the examination. The questions are also lengthy in terms of polity. So let us discuss the questions now. And the first question that we are going to discuss is related to ordinance. The question is, with reference to the Indian polity, consider the following statements. There are three statements are given and they are asking us to choose the correct answer. So the first statement is, an ordinance can amend any central act. An ordinance can abridge a fundamental right. An ordinance can come into effect from a back date. That means retrospectively. The topic is ordinance and there are different features of ordinance. The options are given such that. Now let us discuss what is ordinance, few basics about ordinance. Then we will further discuss about the answer for this question. So everyone knows ordinance. It is like any other law, can be made by parliament or a state legislative assembly, except it is made by the executive when it is during an emergency. Whenever there is a recess in the terms of the sessions are not being conducted, like there is a gap. Currently the legislature is not in session. So at that time they need to make a law. They can do a law at that time, that is called ordinance. The origin is from the pre-British era, colonial era. Around 1861 Amendment Act they have made, Chapter Act. Through that this power was introduced in the Indian polity. After independence and through Article 123 and Article 213, they have given these powers to President as well as Governor. So Governor make ordinances for state and President can make ordinances for entire India. So what are these ordinances? The Article 123 says that exactly the President's ordinance making power is co-extensive as regards all matters except duration. Whenever the parliament or any legislature makes a law, it is valid for entire time period unless it is revoked by legislature. But whereas this ordinance is temporary, just to meet the requirements of emergency. So this was made a temporary arrangement to meet the emergency needs. Apart from that duration, it is co-extensive with regards to all laws. Duration is generally maximum, this can be invalid for 6 months and 6 weeks. Constitution says that once the legislature or the assembly is in session, they have to discuss about this ordinance and they have to either pass the law or revoke the law. So within 6 weeks of that re-assembly. So maximum time period can be between 2 sessions can be 6 months. So that lifetime is 6 months and 6 weeks. So this is about duration and lifetime. So this is done by President through Article 123 and Article 213 gives power to Governor. There are some limitations to this ordinance. Before that we will discuss what it can do actually. Even this was clearly pointed out in the Lakshmikant, what it can do, what it cannot do. So for this question, you don't need to think about it. It was given. If you remember it, it is clearly understandable. Even though if you don't understand it also, if you understand concept behind it, then also you can answer this question. So let us see what it can actually. Based on the ordinance, it can amend any or alter any law that is made already. Or it can create a new law as well. And it can give retrospective effect as well. Back time onwards also, the law can come into force. Taxation changes, like what can be taxed, what cannot be taxed, can be taken into consideration. All this also can be, those called tax laws or money laws, they can also be amended or created through ordinances. But there are some limitations and Constitution creates some limitations for ordinance because they want to give checks and balances. It says that ordinance cannot be ultra vires. Whenever you make a provision, it cannot be something that completely violates the provisions of the Constitution. So Article 13, which is part 3 of fundamental rights, says that any law that violates the principles of Constitution becomes ultra vires. So these laws which are intended to abridge the fundamental rights, they are called ultra vires and they are not acceptable. Even law is not acceptable, only constitutional amendment is accepted. Similar to law, ordinance is also a part of law. It is co-extends to any law made by parliament or legislature. So like law, ordinance also cannot abridge fundamental rights as per Article 13. It is clearly stated. And similarly, it cannot also do a amendment to constitution. It cannot alter the provisions of constitution. So these are the basic features. Nothing more to read about it, ordinance. Nothing less to read it. They asked the basic features only. So one who knows about Article 13 or basic intention of provision of ordinance, they can clearly identify the answer. This was relatively a medium hard question. So the first option is saying an ordinance can amend any central act. Yes, do not worry about the word any here. It is only referring central act. Yes, central act can be amended, right? That is the meaning of it. It is co-extensive to any legal enactment. Second option is, so the first option is right. An ordinance can abridge a fundamental right. Abridging the fundamental right. Many of the constitutional amendments are about abridging fundamental rights. Can a law do changes to fundamental rights? No, it is not allowed based on Article 13. So, it is a wrong option. If simple laws can change these fundamental rights, which is part of our basic structure of our constitution, it can be chaos. Politically, there will be too many radical changes. It is a check given by constitution to the executive. When you think about this option, whether it is right or not, you have to think in such a way that what it gives, what power it can give. Then you can understand this. Similarly, an ordinance can come into effect from a back date. Yes, a law can be made applicable from the back dates. Similarly, ordinance also can be made. So, as for the question, 1 and 3 are correct and 2 is wrong. So, option C is the correct answer for this question. The next question is a 52nd question, and it is about reorganization of states, especially related to northeastern states. So, we will read out the question first. So, the question states that there are 3 states are given and some description is given. First state is Arunachal Pradesh. The statement is the capital is named after a fort and the state has 2 national parks. So what is the capital of Arunachal Pradesh? Itanagar. So it is about that, and some national parks it has. Second option is Nagaland. Then the description says that the state came into existence on the basis of a constitutional amendment act. And the third says that Tripura is a state, and the description is initially a Part C state, it became a centrally administered territory with reorganization of states in 1956 and later attained the status of a full-fledged state. So the options are given such a way that how many of the above are correctly matched. Only 1, only 2, all the 3, none. Someone who know concept about the reorganization of state or Constitutional Amendment Act, they could clearly identify what is the wrong statement here. But there are 2 other statements which makes this question a little difficult. Whether how many parks are there, they should have the knowledge of it. Whether the state capital is named after a fort or not, that is need to be needed. Otherwise, if they have given option A as only 1, option B as only 1 and 2, like that, then many of them would have guessed it through the process of elimination. But in this question, what they did is like they changed the pattern of the question and they made it little difficult. How many of the above or pairs are correctly matched? So this became tricky, but someone who is with confidence and conceptual clarity, they could give a 50% chance to this question. So before venturing into the right answer, let us discuss the basic concept behind the reorganization of states. So what is the basis for this question actually? There is too much demand for the statehood by too many northeastern states like Nagaland. They want to form different Nagaland state, including different areas of northeastern states. Quest for statehood and autonomy has been a continuous political area in the northeastern states. There are too many violent activities also happened in the northeastern states for the autonomy. Keeping it as a background, the UPSC asked about what are the states when they were formed. So the facts are that Nagaland formed in 1963 and Tripura in 1972 and Arunachal Pradesh in 1987. And these are all were initially part of Assam or the northeastern frontier province. So they were given different levels of autonomy initially, then they were converted into a statehood. After independence, our states are organized in such a way that Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. These princely states then became states. Then Part C states become union territory status or statehood. So this Tripura, initially it was part of Part C, then later converted it to state. Similarly, Arunachal Pradesh was part of Eastern Frontier Province, then it became a state in 1987. Nagaland was part of Assam and then it became state in 1963. So what is the actual constitutional process for this reorganization of the territories of India? So Article 2 states that Parliament can create new states or admit or incorporate new territories from external territories to create new states. And Article 3 gives the power to Parliament to alter the existing boundaries or names to create new states in the India. Article 4 states that clearly the enactments made by Parliament under Article 2.3 shall not be considered as constitutional amendment acts under Article 368. So these are the provisions, some of the provisions related to reorganization of the states or territories. Article 1 states that India is a union of territories. But what are the things? How they can be altered? Given in the under Article 2, 3, 4. The Andhra Pradesh state, it is also reorganized in 2014. And before that, in 1956, we have got this United Andhra Pradesh state. Ours was the first state which got the statehood based on the language basis, linguistic basis. So that was a different concept. But the question here asked about is majorly about how they can be formed and some factual informations. So who knows about all these Article 2, 3, 4 and anything? If you ever read about even constitutional amendment also, whenever you are doing a constitutional amendment, there are three ways of doing a constitutional amendment. Some require only simple laws, simple majority laws, and this creation of states, abolition of legislative councils comes under this simple majority laws. They are laws. Come back to question. The second option says that Nagaland, the state came into existence on the basis of a constitutional amendment act. So to create new states under Article 3, to alter boundaries and create states, we don't require a new constitutional law. Even our Andhra Pradesh also bifurcated and created new state Telangana based on Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act 2014. So one who knows about this, one who can apply this knowledge can clearly state that the option 2 is given as wrong. So now question comes, how many rest of the 2 are correct? The option are like all the 3 are gone. Now 3 options are left. Only 1, only 2, none. Now the rest of the things are purely factual. You cannot do much about it. You have to go based on your guts. What UPSC is trying to test here, are they trying to give more difficult options for you, to confuse you, to confuse your knowledge levels? So one who has gut feeling here that what he knows can be understood. Arunachal Pradesh, 4 facts we will discuss now. As you all know, capital is Itanagar. Ita means bricks. So Itanagar is fort of bricks. So that is correct. And the state has 2 national parks, that is Namdapa and Mauling. These are the 2 national parks. So statement 1 also correct. Then statement 3, as we discussed, it is part of Part C initially, then it was converted into Union Territory, then into statehood. So 1 and 3 are correct, and the correct option for this question is only 2. This is more about the gut feeling during the process, or someone who knows actually complete factual points about the state's reorganization. This question is more than difficult because it not only asking you to apply your knowledge, it is also asking you to remember some facts. So the answer is only 2. The next question, 53, it's about center-state relations. Different bodies are constitutional or statutorial or executive bodies that are part of center-state relations. So the question here is, with reference to India, consider the following: the Interstate Council, the National Security Council, the Zonal Councils. How many of the above were established as per the provisions of the Constitution of India? So they are asking you to identify which of these bodies are formed based on the provisions of existence in the Constitution of India. They are asking which are constitutional bodies. Which one of these are constitutional bodies? So these bodies are for what? Interstate Council, Zonal Council is mostly about maintaining harmonious relations and solving differences between states and union. So we'll discuss the concepts here. Interstate Council, which was defined under Article 263, gives the power to President to create an interstate council based on the necessity for harmonious relations between center and states or states and states. So Sarkaria Commission in 1990 recommended that to make it as a permanent body. So based on that, committee was formed in 1990 and again in 1996. It is having one secretariat as well, Interstate Council Secretariat, which looks after the functions of council. It gives the continuity for that. Interstate Council is headed by Prime Minister and 6 other Union Cabinet Ministers and Chief Ministers of the states. Later it was amended that whenever some state is under the President's rule, Governor can attend on behalf of that state. So these are some provisions to know about Interstate Council. Then there comes the Zonal Councils. So they are formed to improve the coordination between different states. Many states were demanding too many statehoods or different autonomies. So to improve the dialogue between the center and state and different states, they have created zones. Like they have initially through Reorganization Act, States Reorganization 1956, they have created 5 zonal councils. They are center, north, east, south, west. These are the 5 zonal councils created through this act. So this is based on statutory. And through Northeastern Councils Act 1972, one more zonal council is created for Northeastern states. So total now we have total 6 zonal councils to improve the dialogue between center and state. Now we have this Niti Aayog. Before that, these were active bodies that were giving platforms for coordination between center and state for various issues. So apart from that, there is another option called National Security Council. By the words of it, everyone can understand that this is something, it is like a executive based body, because this is about security. So security comes under the major part of this council is it advises the Prime Minister and President. So this is chaired by PM, and he was advised by National Security Advisor and 3 other army personnels. So this is about Security Council, and which is created by executive order. So these are the 3 separate bodies that were asked in it. It was a very basic thing. Everyone should know about it. One who read Polity Lakshmi at least once, because initially there was too much news about sharing of waters, that is Article 262, interstate water disputes. Similarly, this interstate council was also in news about cooperative federalism. Whenever you read about cooperative federalism, or whenever you read about GST council, what are the other alternative mechanisms provided by the constitution for cooperation between center and states. So this is also part of that coordination. Similarly, this. Let us come back to this question. So based on the question, they are asking us to choose constitutional bodies. So it's a simply factual based question and some common sense. So this is a constitutional body, interstate council, and this is a statutory body, and this is the executive body. So the answer is only one. Let us come to the next question. It says that consider the following statements. The statement 1 is the Constitution of India explicitly mentions that in certain spheres, the governor of a state acts in his or her own discretion. So the first statement is about governor's discretion. Second statement says that the President of India can, of his or her own, reserve a bill passed by a state legislature for his or her consideration without it being forwarded by the governor of the state concerned. So the question is, which of the statements given above is or correct? Similarly, here the options are little accommodative. They are giving only 1, only 2, both 1 and 2, neither 1 and 2. So question is about 2 concepts related to govern. One is about governor's discretion, whether it is constitutional or not. Second option is about governor's power to reserve bill and president's role in reserved bills by states governor. So there are 2 statements given in the question number 54. One is about discretionary power of the governor, and second is about reserving the bills to the president. So it is asking about which of the statements are correct. So let us discuss about the concepts behind it. It's a conceptual based question. Why it is in news, very much in the news as well. So recently Supreme Court also made a statement that using the power of Article 42, it gave directions and it mandatorily gave assent to all the reserved bills reserved by TN governor. And it asked the parliament to explore the time limit for the governors. So in the constitution, there is no time limit mentioned for the action to be taken by the governor while giving assent, while returning or rejecting of the bill. So general bill making procedure. It was very much in the news recently. And in the 2023 also there was a case about Punjab state where Supreme Court directed the governor to give assent or give a clear direction to the assembly for the laws made by the state legislative assembly. Whenever there is a friction between the center and state, the role of governor becomes very much, it comes into limelight. So he acts as an agent to the center. Sometimes he becomes so that was the question here. So in the constitution, the first option is about discretion. According to Article 3, provides that there shall be a council of ministers with the head as a chief minister, aiding and advising governor to dispose his functions, except the wording clearly says that. So there shall be a council of minister at the head CM to aid and advise governor in functioning of the state, except insofar as he is by or under this constitution required to exercise his function or any discretion. The Constitution clearly gives some discretion to the governor to act upon without the advice of the Council of Ministers. Whereas Article 74 of Constitution says that there shall be a Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister to aid and advise the President. So he is bound by the advice. But whereas governor given constitutional discretions, in what all areas he has been given discretion? They are like whenever there is a clear majority in the elections, he will be given a discretion to appoint a CM. Even in the case of no confidence motion, when the party loses the confidence in the state legislature, he can opt a candidate for the chief minister post. Similarly, Article 356 enables the governor to decide whether the constitutional machinery working as per the provisions of the Constitution. If not so, recommend for a president's rule. So it is his discretion. Another important power given by the governor is that he can reserve some of the bills passed by state legislature for the consideration of the president, which are of which have the impact on center-state relations or national security. He is also given this power under Article 200. So these are some constitutional discretionary powers given to governor, unlike president. So in terms of discretion, governor has more discretionary power than president. So it's a very clear concept. Then Article 200 says that governor can forward whenever a bill is passed by state legislature. He can either give assent or he can return it or he can reject it. Also, he can reserve the bill for the president. Only he can forward the bill for president's consideration. President on his or her own cannot on suo motu cannot take this bill and reserve it for his consideration. So Article 200 says that only governor can forward. President cannot act on his own for reserving a bill. So center cannot directly impinge on the state's legislative capacity. That is one of the check given by Constitution to maintain center and state relations. So this governor can reserve these bills any type of, like simple law also or money law also, he can reserve for president's consideration. Presidents can also have the same power, whether accept it or return it or reject it. So these are the provisions of the Constitution. The question here says that the Constitution of India explicitly mentions, yes, it is explicitly mentioning that a governor has discretionary power. The statement 1 is correct. The second statement says that President of India can, of his or her own, means suo motu, on suo motu basis, reserve a bill passed by state legislature for his or her own consideration without it being forwarded by the governor. So this statement is wrong. This has become too extreme, right? So whenever you are making a law, the Constitution says that there is a horizontal as well as vertical relations between state and center. So it is giving some sort of autonomy to state as well to function and remove roadblocks in terms of political power sharing. So this is too much an extreme statement. One can understand the constitutionalism and checks and balances. If someone can eliminate with the basic concepts, option 2, the answer is only 1. So one should have the knowledge of Article 163 and Articles 200 and Article 74. Or if you don't remember the articles also fine, you should know that there is a discretion given to governor. It's a simple concept. So whenever you are reading about governor or president, you should cross compare about the powers. The pardoning powers of governor, the president's pardoning power. The president has better pardoning powers than governor. Nowadays, the position of governor, there are too many commissions, like Poonchi Commission also recommended. Then Sarkaria Commission. There are many commissions on the role of governor in terms of polity. So this is about the question. The answer is only 1 for this question.